Hello, I'm Richard Seltzer. I'd like to share with you my favorite book, The Lizard of Oz, which I self-published 46 years ago. I'm going to read to you the new, improved, and expanded edition, which I just finished writing, and which is not in print. I'll make a separate video for each chapter. The original edition had illustrations by Christin Couture. I'll show you some of those pictures at the end of each video. Chapter 4. Potheadland. Suddenly, there was light. Eugene and Mark and Miss Shelby groaned because they were in the bottom again. Cindy screamed because water had spilled out of the fishbowl. Kathy screamed because she was soaking wet. And Mr. Sherman and Mrs. O'Rourke were squirming on her belly. "What's going on?" asked Gano, wiping water from her face. "Gosh," said Donnie, "look at all the funny people." "I don't know who you're talking about, Donnie," Miss Shelby corrected him. "I can't see from here, but whoever they are, you shouldn't make fun of them. You shouldn't make fun of anyone." "But it looks like a bunch of flower pots are walking around," he answered. "Really?" asked Timmy. Kathy and Gaynell giggled. Miss Osborne was so flustered, she asked Mr. Sherman directly, "Where are we? You got us here. Can you explain what's going on?" And much to her surprise, she heard Mr. Sherman directly when he replied, "Well, this must be Potheadland. Here everybody has flower pots instead of heads. And since they can't see where they're going, they're tripping all the time." "What's that one?" asked Gaynell, pulling herself up to the window. "That's a pot-bellied pothead," said Kathy. "Gosh, he's covered with mud," Donnie said. "We're down-to-earth people," replied the pot-bellied pothead. "Earthenware is our natural dress, that and wonderwear." "Wonderwear?" "Yes, I wonder where my head's at." "Oh, there's a water fountain," said Miss Osborne, opening the door and letting everyone out. "We need to fill the fishbowl quickly for Mr. Sherman and Mrs. O'Rourke." So they walked over to the fountain. Miss Shelby read the sign. "Potable water." Potable. That's a good long word for you to learn today. That means the water is clean enough to drink and clean enough for Mr. Sherman and Mrs. O'Rourke. Cindy, who was carrying the fishbowl, stepped up to the fountain. "Not so fast," said the pot-bellied pothead. "That's a potable water fountain." "Yes, I know," said Cindy, and she smiled, and Miss Shelby smiled too, because Cindy had learned the lesson. But when Cindy went to fill the fishbowl, the water wouldn't go in. Instead, it splashed all over until she was as wet as Kathy. "I told you so. That's a potable water fountain. It'll only pour water into pots." "Well, what can we do?" asked Miss Osborne. "You'll have to find somebody empty-headed enough to help." "But, wow," Mark interrupted. "Gosh," said Donnie, "what's this one?" Yes, what is it, Mr. Sherman?" asked Miss Osborne, staring in disbelief. "That's an empty-headed pothead. He's pedaling an icicle, and his head's low so he can go fast." "Pedaling an icicle?" asked Miss Osborne. "Yes, of course. He's sitting on an icicle, and the wheels are huge sunflowers." "Mister, why doesn't the icicle melt?" asked Mark. "It's cool, man, cool." "How do you get it to go so fast?" "That's flower power, man. Real flower power." "Pardon me," asked Miss Osborne. "I noticed that your head, your pot, is empty." And "Yes, it's empty, and don't go making fun of it either. Some of these guys will put anything in their heads just to have something there, but I've been waiting till I find something worth putting in." "Well, if it wouldn't inconvenience you, we'd greatly appreciate it if you'd help us fill our fishbowl." "Fishbowl? You mean fish are drowning because they don't have any water to breathe? Why didn't you say so?" In a minute, Mr. Sherman and Mrs. O'Rourke were breathing freely in a bowl full of fresh, clean water. Kathy recited, "You'll get ahead if you get ahead, so go straight ahead and get an empty head that's gone to pot. Then go behind, and you'll find the spot you have in mind." She was very proud that she remembered the witch's words. "That's the one," said Mr. Sherman. "The what?" asked the empty-headed pothead, who heard him loud and clear. "The empty head that's gone to pot. You're the one the witch told us to find and take back." "Witch? You mean one of those old ladies that ride around on broomsticks? You gotta be kidding, man. That's far out." "Well, come along with us, and Take a look for yourself, suggested Mr. Sherman. Just hop up on top of the car. We'll take you places you've never dreamed of. So the empty-headed pothead left his icicle and hopped on top of the VW, and they all went riding back to where they came from. I'd like to show you a few of the illustrations from that chapter, the illustrations by Christin Couture. Here is the pot-bellied pothead who just tripped and fell in a pile of mud. Okay, and here's some miscellaneous potheads climbing a tree and sitting below it. And over here is the empty-headed pothead. He doesn't have anything in his flower pot, and he's pedaling an icicle. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Please watch the rest of the story. I'm making a separate video for each of the 27 chapters. Feedback welcome. My name again is Richard Seltzer, as in Alka-Seltzer. My email is seltzer@seltzerbooks.com. All Things That Matter Press recently published 3 other novels of mine, Parallel Lives, Beyond the Fourth Door, and Nevermind. You can find those all at Amazon as paperbacks and as ebooks. They can be read in any order. They're independent stories with overlapping theme and styles. Each presents a different view of reality, a different way of trying to make sense of the mysteries of life.